All right, everyone, there are excuses and then there are really, really phony excuses. Tren de Aragua, which is a Venezuelan street gang which is currently taking over entire apartment blocks and terrorizing residents in multiple U.S. cities to the point where it's almost like a paramilitary force in some of these areas. They're involved with narcotics and human trafficking as well. Have killed a number of people, have injured others. They took roost in Aurora. They've taken roost elsewhere. They're metastasizing in certain urban areas in the country. And there's an excuse that's been given by elements of the progressive legacy media. Well, it's only a few apartment complexes. What are you so worried about? When a group of illegals can enter a country and stage effectively military-level operations with illegal weapons, I would note. I thought that Democrats were against guns, but I guess not if you're a Venezuelan street gang member who's trafficking 10-year-olds. It's rather strange, the principles that they have. It shouldn't even be a thing where you have a couple of incidents of this happening. Police repeatedly were notified about the activities that were going on over and over again in some of these apartment complexes and said, we can't do anything about this. We're real sorry, but we don't have the resources to deal with this. Only when things got completely out of hand and it became national headlines was anything actually done about it. Clearly they had the resources, they were just reluctant to utilize them. Kamala Harris and others in the Biden administration are responsible for this. If you had a secure border, instead of having armies of people crossing over the border and then doing things like this, gangs, potentially terrorist groups, etc., certainly drug traffickers in general, you would have a trickle of people coming in still. But it would be manageable. It would be under control. It's like, I think it was CBS the other day released a snippet, and they said, well, experts believe that Trump's plan to deport 1 million illegals would cost $400 billion. And I was thinking to myself, by God, you didn't seem to complain when Biden printed $2.3 trillion out of thin air for his pet projects. You didn't seem to have a problem. I mean, $400 billion. How much did we give to Ukraine last year? Or so far this year? How much did we give to Israel so far in weapons and money? How much do we give the Pakistanis, etc.? I think that we could probably trim the foreign aid budget a little bit, and certainly $400 billion you could offset, and you'd save a shit ton of money long term, because then you have 1 million less people that are potentially on assistance, considerably reduced gang activity because they would be thrown in there, a lowered risk of terrorism. You know, all you need is one terrorist to level a building and you've done, $500 million in damage right there. And you've got all of this other criminality and other problems that are attendant this. The ghettoization of neighborhoods in some of our cities, it's not just an urban problem anymore. It's trickled out to small-town America as well, some of the smaller cities. Burlington, for example. Burlington is now a dangerous city. Burlington, Vermont. 10 years ago, Burlington was reckoned to be one of the nicest, smaller cities in the United States. It was exceptionally safe. When I was at UVM, for example, back at the end of the 2000s into 2010, I would go out, this is only 15 years ago, I'd go out at night, nobody gives a shit. I could go to the seediest areas in Burlington at night and feel perfectly safe. It was actually funny to me because I had very limited travel experience, right, when I went down to Texas. This is 2007. So I had to go to the Greyhound station. I took a Greyhound all the way to Texas and back. I didn't realize that I could probably have actually saved money with a ticket. Whoops, yeah, expensive mistake, who gives a shit. Anyway, I get down there. The Greyhound station used to be in an area that's not terribly nice. It's, it's seedy. And I felt mildly unsafe going to the Greyhound station. I went down to southern Texas. By the time I got back, because I'd seen large cities and I'd seen, at least from a bus, I'd seen Atlanta and some of these other places. And I came back and I'm like, oh, what was I so worried about? This is basically paradise. It's not anymore, sadly. This is the responsibility of the current administration's immigration policies. You have a restoration of catch and release. You have such an overloaded border you can't process everyone. About a third of all unaccompanied minors that have come across the border in the last few years are unaccounted for. And I bet that this particular group has smuggled some of those in. And now they're child prostitutes. Some of them are in sweatshops. Some of them are being made to sell drugs. This is not give us your tired, huddled masses and we'll uplift them. This is not human dignity. This is not uplifting the impoverished third worlders that in many cases were disenfranchised by the same left-wing policies Kamala has in mind. This is exploitation. It exploits the immigrants, including the ones that they're not part of gangs, they're not trying to do anything wrong, they genuinely believe in the American dream for some unknown reason. It disenfranchises them, and it certainly disenfranchises the people being terrorized by the gangs and the terrorists and everything else. And this is Kamala's policy. And she said just a few days ago, well, when you think about it, is there something you would have done different from Joe Biden? Of course, Joe Biden, fundamentally responsible for the border policies, although Kamala's borders are. The buck does stop with the president, of course, on such issues. And she said no. Okay, so you're going to continue Biden's open border policies. You might as well just say it. So name it and wear it like a crown, my dude. You think those policies are working because you don't have to live in those areas that are being overrun by Venezuelan street gangs, or Guatemalan street gangs, or Mexican paramilitaries, or Al-Qaeda members, ISIS members. You don't live in those areas. You've got private guards and security fences and DC security and all of these other things. You don't have to worry about the fallout for your own actions. You think that any of the open border politicians live in areas that are being overrun? Of course not. No. The poor neighborhoods and the middle class neighborhoods in urban and suburban areas, they can take them. You have to show them compassion. Pony up more tax money. That's basically the border policy of the Biden-Harris administration. At this point, it's the Harris-Biden administration, which I'm sure that Biden is very, very happy about. I'm sure that dude, look at his face. He's sour grapes behind closed doors. He's just sort of running out the clock until he can sundown. That's about all. Peace out.